Welcome to What I Meant to Say, where we discuss parenting, relationships, and wisdom that can be passed down through generations. I was so excited today to have this conversation with you. We've been trying to get a What I Meant to Say podcast conversation for a while. Yeah. And I am joined today by Falyn Fonoimoana, one of my favorite coaches for my kids. But before that, All-American at USC, a professional indoor and beach player with tremendous life story that runs through sports, and I'm just so grateful to have you here today.
Thank you. Always good to talk to you on and off the camera.
Yes, exactly. We've been doing that for a lot of years now.
Yeah.
And I truly feel like you're just somebody that, from right off the bat, like you saw me and I saw you.
Yes.
And that realness and that human connection, we've always had it.
Always.
So thank you for being such an awesome coach to my kids.
Yes, I love them. They're mine too.
Exactly. Thanks for having their back. And, you know, I always have yours. And I don't know, I just want to launch right into you have such an incredible story through sports. And I think that story, I know, has trained you to handle so many life challenges and the things that have come your way. So tell me a little bit about your perspective on, you know, what you learned through volleyball that has helped you so much in life.
I mean, not just volleyball. My mom had me in every sport that I wanted to play when I was young. So it just started with, you know, you can't teach having a competitive nature. So, you know, it was just something that was in me, and that it started to get accelerant as I got older, because I had different, you know, scenarios and different teams and different coaches. And some of my favorite coaches were from like soccer or softball. And it's one of those things that you pick and choose things that you grab from these people and what you love from them. Yeah. And that's what molds you. Yeah. And, you know, it makes a huge impact on, you know, how I raise my son, how I talk to parents, how I talk to kids. Like, there's so many different scenarios of things that have come my way that I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to handle it that way. I'll have to make sure I give the nurturing more. But I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I am tough and I am blunt, and I will always be honest, because there isn't enough people who do that, and they, you know, overpromise, underdeliver, if you will. And that does nothing but set these kids up for failure, because they're thinking they can trust you one day, and, you know, another, they're like, oh, well, you're just like everybody else. So for me, you know, it's just really been the tough conversations of being honest with myself, the tough conversation of being honest with others, even when it's uncomfortable, even if you love them, even if, you know, you're doing it for your best benefit, but it hurts them. You know, it's a lot of hard conversations that, you know, I've had to do, and a lot of healing that I've had to do with all of that too, to be able to be the person that I am standing here today.
Yeah. And we've had those conversations over the years. That's one thing you and I have in common, is that passion for the healing path.
Yeah.
And just continually that growth and looking inward and being able to use the hard things to make you better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've seen that in you time and again. And you have that interesting perspective of being that trifecta, the parent, the coach, and the athlete.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of wisdom there. And I love how you just, you know, bounce back and forth, because you do learn things in each one of those places.
And they all humble you.
They all humble you. Yeah, there's no perfect, there's no expert.
No.
We're always like, you're dealing with different people, different athletes. Every child is different. I love when people say they're parenting expert. There's no such thing.
No.
That has definitely been my mantra the last couple of years. Yeah. It's like, we're all walking through this together, and the way that we can help each other and not cast judgment, but just look and see what people need.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
Yeah.
There's not one way of doing anything.
Yeah.
And that's the humbling part about when you learn something that is successful, and then you try to teach it another way, but you're still trying to keep your way. You still have to be on that fine line of, you still have to be yourself. But you still have to understand that it doesn't have to be just this way, but implement the important things with the new. But, you know, it's something that you have to be okay. If you've perfected something and you're like, oh, now I have to change my way. What do you mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But you have to keep evolving. You have to.
Yeah.
or you're going to be stuck in the past.
Yeah, it's so true. And that's what it makes me think about. Like, we've known each other now. It's been almost 10 years.
Yes.
I've been watching you coach.
Yes.
Even before I knew much about you as a volleyball player. And then, I've watched that evolution on the beach. But as a coach, you have transformed and now into a club owner.
Yeah.
How have you changed over the years, do you think, from your coaching?
Oh, man. First of all of my babies know that they're mine, and that has never changed. And it's because it's such an important role for a coach to have a side of them that they know that they can always rely on and always trust in, and they can always run to. Because if you don't have any sort of trust or even a safe haven, I want to call it, even though I was super tough on all of my kids, they knew at the end of the day, no one was going to mess with them. No one was going to praise them more. And I was always going to give it to them straight. And evolving came with, the generation. I had to evolve because being as tough as I was, no one wanted to play for me because, oh, she's scary. She's this, she makes them run. But at the end of the day, all of my kids were better for what I did. But I had to make it in a different way. I had to be hard in drills. I had to be hard in the sense of still giving them conditioning, but it's different ways of implementing it. I had to be creative. Yeah. And that was something that was hard at times because they're complaining. And I'm like, you don't even do a quarter of what I did. And you're not even doing a quarter of what my other kids did. So I don't feel bad for you. But, it's something also that these kids are also going through a lot different, not just mental health, but social media. They're going through identity crisis. They're going through a lot of different things that we never had. Yeah. We had MySpace, for God's sakes, and then it evolved to Facebook. And then as we got older, then, Instagram and all that started coming over. And you can't tell a kid that, your workout's better when they watched a person on TikTok and their body is perfection. Right. And they're trying to tell you this is the way to do it. I'm like, okay, this is what they're doing to look good. They're not doing this for volleyball. Yeah. So it's constantly being humbled, but also having to be patient. And also, I got out of coaching a few years ago, and it was just because I was doing myself a disservice because I was still playing. Mm-hmm. And I would still be playing in AVPs, and I would be on my feet with these boys and girls for 10, 12 hours, and then have to go play or have to go practice or go work out. And if you've ever had to stand in a convention center 3 days straight, your calves, your knees, your feet, they're on fire. Who wants to go get your ass kicked or get your butt kicked?
No, you're good.
After you've been slaving, standing the whole time screaming at kids and your voice is gone.
No.
Nobody. And, it was hard because the kids that when I was going to not quit, but I was I'm going to take a break of coaching, I had just had the best boys team. I had just had a really good girls team. I was on a momentum, but this was still my time. And I had to be selfish in that way. And it also gave me a perspective of seeing it overall. This was a way for me to watch these kids grow up and also still be a part of their lives on a higher standard, but being out of that bubble. And I think that's why I'm happy now being a director and owner, but I still want to coach, implement things too. It's because I had to do it while I was playing. I had to still have my kids around, still handle business, but I was playing. So this is a great transition for me. I'm learning a ton because obviously it's business. Obviously it's the tournaments and the parents. I never dealt with parents unless it was a major issue during my club teams because we just had a mutual respect. Yeah. But as a director, you got to hear everything, and an owner, you have to hear everything. And sometimes that's another role. So it's like I said, evolving. It's an over-evolving thing, and also being humble that I need help, being a director instead of thinking that I can do everything.
So good.
Yeah, I had to implement people around me that I trusted and that I knew could handle the business and that could run efficiently together. And I'm still learning that because we haven't executed everything. We still are having to listen to coaches. We still have to make sure that the parents and the kids are having a good communication. Like it's a never ending door. But as long as you have people in there that, you can bounce off of, you don't feel as exhausted and eating wine every day.
Right. No, exactly. And you have to know that you don't have to do everything on your own.
Yeah.
And then building that team and trusting your intuition to pick the right people and make the right connections makes all the difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's Cross Point
Volleyball Club.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how long have you guys been around?
They have been around for since 2010. And then I just came in this past year to, in that area, there's not a lot of, not great volleyball, but I'll just say it's not a monopoly out there. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was something that I could put my stamp on and make sure it's done the right way of where I think that business along with passion can come together.
I think that is so cool because I remember thinking, to be in the volleyball mecca, the beach volleyball and just the players that have come out of the South Bay and just this area of Los Angeles, and then to go just a little bit inland.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that when Lauren was in high school, to go travel to some of those schools and go, the knowledge the coaching knowledge hasn't gone that far. I grew up in Fresno. The coaching knowledge was not there. When we moved down here, I was in awe of the volleyball coaching that my kids were getting.
Yeah.
Because it's so different. So that's different. Really cool.
So different.
I love seeing the game grow like that because there's these kids, these athletes can come from anywhere. But if they don't get the coaching, it changes their trajectory.
Absolutely.
And so that's really cool. And coming as a kid that went to college as a redshirt and got cut because all the girls from Southern California were totally ahead of me.
Yeah.
There was a club volleyball team my senior year. That was it. And that was my exposure, crazy. And then off you go.
Wow.
Right? So I love watching the game grow like that. It's so cool.
And I hope it continues to grow.
And it is. These numbers.
Yeah.
I love watching both the men's and the women's game.
No, it's going in the right direction. I just hope that the right people are staying behind it to keep it on track.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to deviate from that, for sure.
Always.
For sure.
So Cross Point's girls and boys.
Girls and boys.
So let's talk a little bit about the difference in coaching girls and boys.
Huge difference.
Because you've coached both.
I've coached them all.
Yeah. What are some of your insights and the differences in coaching?
I love them both. I'll say that first.
Of course.
But, girls are hard over 14 years old. Mm-hmm. And I love it, but it's exhausting because you literally have to take them underneath your wing. You have to literally be their big sister, their mother, and 3 other things that they might need.
Yeah, depending on the day. Totally.
And also, it's the parents for girls get very aggressive is the word I'll use, and rightfully so. I know you want your kid to be the best. I know you want to make sure that any and every opportunity is coming their way, and I know you want their best foot forward, if you will. But it gets to a point for me where every single tournament was absolutely exhausting. And it was not about the kids anymore. It was, how am I going to handle the parents? And it was too much.
Well, and quite honestly, I've seen that too. And so often you realize the problem isn't coming from the kid.
No.
The kid might be perfectly happy where they are.
Yes.
And the parent is not.
See, the difference between a coach who is invested and actually spends time to get to know your child, we're going to know exactly who your child is. Instead of a coach who's doing it for like money or just clocking in, all those kinds of things, which do happen. I'll give that. Give that. The difference is you having your kid text me a certain text, and I know what your kid tells me. I know how your kid texts. I know it's you. Mm-hmm. So then you're getting a sticky situation for the kid, because when they see me next time, I'm going to be like, what is this?
Yeah. So
I know
keep it real.
I know it wasn't you. So what's happening? And then you got to break down the layers and barriers, because unfortunately, I won't just call it trauma, but I'll also call it insecurities. Mm-hmm. You're bleeding into your child. Yeah. And your child is now self-conscious because of you, nothing that they've done. And now they have to introduce it to a person that they have a good relationship with, and they have to be vulnerable. All of those things are not a good recipe for confidence building or for them to relish in, a great community of people that love that. It's not a good recipe. Yeah. And we all do it. We all go through stuff.
Sure.
We know that there's certain things about us that we're going to bleed into our kids.
Yeah.
Whether it be good or bad. Mm-hmm. But it's just being aware that, is this about my child? Or is this about what I think is best or what I think should happen?
Yeah.
And, it is up to a good, gut to know if it's the right person to trust, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, being a mom, I don't trust everyone. And I do this with my son's coaches all the time. I don't have anything to say to you. I don't need to talk about playtime. I don't need to talk about any of that. I want to know, is my kid working hard? Is he respectful? And is he doing everything he can to be on the field or on the court? Those are the only things I care about. If he's not doing those 3 things, you're going to see a different mom. But in that, I am quiet, I'm smiling, my kid's here, and we're making sure stuff is happening. Obviously, I have played sports. I know I'm in a different life. But for me, those 3 things at this age, which is 11, is important.
Absolutely.
So for me, going through back and forth between girls and boys are a lot softer than people realize. And it's not soft in the sense of you're soft. No, they are delicate. And I didn't realize that until I coached boys.
That gives me chills.
They're delicate.
Such an insight right there.
And the best thing that you can acknowledge with boys is, I don't care who you're trying to be cool with. I don't care if you want to be cool. I don't care what you say to the boys. What you do here and what you say to me, your word is your bond, and you better work your ass off. Those are the 2 things that I made sure in my teams they understood. And if they ever lied to me, if they ever did anything that was outside of those realms, they knew their ass is grass. Because I expect these things because I want you. This is what I'm teaching my son. So why would I not teach you this?
Right.
These are things that I need to make sure. And people would always be like, oh, well, you're doing too much. You expect too much. Well, no, I don't. No, I'm not expecting too much. Because in the real world, where they're going to have to grow up and have to do real men things, this is what is expected of them. Yeah. And all of the boys that I have coached all have told me in their real jobs, in college ball, all of that. Yeah. I prepared them for what was coming, whether it be conditioning physically, volleyball wise, drills, mostly life. Yeah. Because this is what I'm doing it for. I don't care if you become an Olympian, which, I'm not saying I don't, but that's not my end game.
The percentages.
Yes. It's not my end game of why I did it. Why I did it is how I am imprinting on these kids to make sure that they make the right decisions when it takes a tribe to raise them.
No doubt.
So that was my big thing. And that's why I stuck with boys for so long.
Yeah.
I stuck with boys for so long because I felt that the boy side needed more nurturing along with accountability.
Yeah.
And not to say men cannot do that, but I'm 6'5". Mm-hmm. I will beat your ass if you try to even intimidate me. And the third is I will give you just as much tough, I will give you the love. And men don't know how to balance that as well as a woman does. Now, the hard part is a woman who steps into this. The biggest thing is, and I have told so many women this, don't try and be the nice best friend. Nope. Don't try and dress yourself to be cute. Be who you are. And third, don't ever let them run over you, because then it's done. But if you come in with who you are, what you demand, and what's going to be happening from this point forward, all they can say is like, wow, she's strict, but we can get done. We can get this stuff done. We can get, through this season. And there's too many that try to be too much that it doesn't need to happen. You don't need to be anything than who you are.
Yep.
Because kids are the most honest and can see the most BS out of anybody.
It's so true.
Like
they're still real.
Like, what's wrong with her? She wasn't acting like that this week. Like, they pick up on everything.
Yeah.
Bad hair day, and you are acting like, they're gonna know.
Yeah.
They're gonna know.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things of just be who you are and give them what they need at that moment.
Yeah. And you have to be present to see what that is.
Very present.
Yeah.
very present.
And the way club volleyball has evolved, again, from a generational perspective, like it used to be you played club volleyball because you had potential to play in college. It has grown so much, both on the boys and girls side, that there's a lot of kids that play club volleyball that don't go on to play in college. No. So all of those things that you're describing, and whether they go play intramurals in college, whether they just are out here playing on the beach because it's a great social scene, it gives them something.
Yes.
But those values, that character building, to me, as it grows, that's still the foundation.
Absolutely.
Everything.
Absolutely.
And the more coaches that know that, and there are a lot of them, I feel like most coaches are very well intentioned because it's, at the juniors level, it's not where you're going to make $1 million.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You're there. You're there and you're sacrificing because you love these kids.
Yes.
For the most part. So I am always amazed when I look back and see what it taught me, what sports has taught me, what has taught my kids, and how they developed as people because of those experiences there.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, for sure.
There's something else, though. You're such an amazing health, body positivity, health-minded, be who you are. And that message, it can get lost real quick in this society that we're living in.
Yeah.
I'm always inspired by the stuff that you post. And I feel like, we curate that social media presence, and it's just a reality for everybody these days. How do you go about keeping your mind right and in the world that we're living in?
I mean, currently right now I'm working on it, but the majority of my life I've had to be my biggest fan. And just recently, I wasn't just my biggest fan, my mom was my biggest fan. And realizing that the world I was grown up in, I was supposed to stick out. I was supposed to make people uncomfortable, and I was supposed to be loud and vivacious because people were fitting into a norm. And if you really want to make a difference, you cannot fit into the norm. You cannot be a person where you're just going with the flow. I've never been a follower. And it could be to my detriment or it could be to my benefit. And either way, I've had to roll with the punches if it was to my detriment or not. But, there's something in me that has always felt never alone, but I was meant to have a very small circle. I was meant to trust very few. And with that had to grow of, well, if it's only going to be you, you might as well love you, because who else is going to tell you? And it's hard. It really is.
Lonely.
It's lonely.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is being your biggest advocate in every facet of your life. Go and break down the layers of who you are and what makes you you. Everything from why you like to clean your house with this certain music on. Everything from why you like to do your hair a certain way. Everything from why I don't want to put makeup on to when I want to put makeup on. When you want to go to the beach and go play volleyball, and today's not a bikini day, today is a biker shorts and shirt day. Like there's so many different things you can talk about with yourself that people don't do it because it's hard. Mm-hmm. But sorry to, crack your bubble, but if it was easy, everyone would do it. Yeah. And obviously people are so easy to post memes or go on TikTok and be someone who they're not, because it's so easy to be liked for something than to be hated because you're real. Yeah. And at the end of the day, what people don't realize is you have to look at yourself every single day and live with yourself. Those people do not.
Right.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
There's nothing about this that is easy. Right. And, if more people were to see that I don't do things out of being cocky, mm-hmm. and I do things out of being confident. Yes. There's a very fine line.
True. But I learned a long time ago, it's taken me a long time to learn a lot of the stuff that you're saying. And I do think that people will say things are humble when it's really just lack of confidence.
Yes.
Yes. Right. And
But everyone has lack of confidence.
Yeah.
Everyone has an insecurity or insecurities.
Yeah.
Everyone has something about them like, ugh. But you know what? If you acknowledge that you have those ugh or those insecurities, imagine if you watered it. Imagine if you took the time to say, well, why don't you like this? Why are you so insecure about this? Well, let's work towards this, whether it's physical, whether it's internal, anything. And the biggest thing, you know, body, all of that, I got the most deals when I was the heaviest I've ever been.
Wow.
And this is not to toot my own horn, I was playing with Junior Rango. April Ross and Alex Kleiman just came back from the Olympics, and we were the only team to take them to 3 sets and almost win.
Yeah.
So for me, I have always known what was inside of me. I've always known I'm capable. Yeah. But with that, it's like I had a step where I knew I could get there. I stepped on the step. Now it's time to make a new step and then step onto that one. Yeah. And, you know, it's something where I realized that if these people who are willing to not just invest in me while I'm socially or I'm not the, you know, picture perfect, whatever, because we all went through COVID. Yeah. After COVID, I gained weight. Who cares?
Yeah.
But the people don't realize after I gained that weight, they didn't know how hard it was to come back.
Yeah.
They didn't know if I had health issues. They didn't know any of that. But you know what's crazy? Yeah. They will never ask you. They'll judge you first. And that is where you realize you have to love you. You have to love you. Because all of these people that are around you smiling when you're on top, and then say, you know, 1 year, 2 years later, you know, oh, you don't look like you used to, or this or that, or you're not doing as well. Oh, but you were just telling me 2 years ago that you loved me and that you just wanted to be around all the time. Remember, these people are seasonal people. They're not there for life. And that's okay.
Right.
People have to realize that is okay. Because seasons teach you more than people for life. Because people for life, you can trust and grab on hold, and we're going to go through the season together. And we're going to learn 2 different things. But knowing that these people are seasonal and knowing that your purpose is different is so important. Because at the end of the day, I could stop playing volleyball tomorrow. I know I have impacted so many people, and I have done my job. Even though right now I don't feel like I'm done. Yeah. If I were to quit tomorrow, playing, I know I did my job by exposing my body so that little girls, older women, even boys, I know that I was the person on TV, on social media, exposing people to see something that is not 150 pounds, has no fat, and looks good in a bikini to them.
Yep.
So I know I did my job. But at this point in my life, I know I'm not done. And I'm not done playing. I'm not done with the coaching world. I'm not done with my club. There's so many things that I need to flourish before I hang up my whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh, it's a
you know,
it's a lifelong journey. It's giving me the chills. Like you're not even close to done.
No,
I know that. Yeah, it's amazing. It really to see the confidence. How old are you?
I'm 31 now.
You made it out of your 20s.
I made it out of 20s, but 31.
It's crazy. And you and I have talked about the kind of people that you surround yourself with. And you just broke down, you know, the people for a season, you know, the lifelong relationships, the village it takes to raise a child, to create an athlete, whoever we're working with. But, you know, people can have a real detrimental effect, and not just on our minds, but on our bodies. And, you know, I've been through challenging relationships in my life, and you were one of the first people that you said it to me maybe a month or 2 ago. And I went, wow, she knew it before I did. And I think it's really important for people to know that who you surround yourself with, and especially even as athletes, you carry injury or potential injury in your body because of the people that you surround yourself with. And I had a lot of tension. I was out there on the beach just playing for fun, but my meniscus, my shoulders are hurting, all that stuff. And give me a little bit of your perspective on what you've noticed about how you can take care of yourself by the people that you surround yourself.
I mean, it's not just the people, it's the aura, it's the environment, it's the places that you allow yourself to be. And I'm very, very secluded when it comes to that, because if I walk into a room and I feel that either your aura is off or the room is off, I don't need to be there, because I am then including myself and exposing myself to things that I don't need in my frequency. Yeah. And it's hard to say that, because it's been plenty of deals where I'm walking into a room and I feel it and it's an ick, or you get a frog in your throat, and those are signs of your gut and your intuition saying, you're not supposed to be here. And out of respect, I've done plenty of times that I've sat through hours of meetings, and just being in that little meeting was too much for my body. Mm-hmm. And I've had to acknowledge that if I feel that, I'm not feeling so good, I feel sick, I think I got to throw up, and I leave. Yeah. And unfortunately, it sucks that I had to do that, but I learned so much. Yeah. I learned so much. Yeah. And, I'll give an example. There was, years ago, before weed was legal, CBD was like in the cusp of beach volleyball. Mm-hmm. And there is so many companies that wanted to be exposed in that realm of sports. Yeah. And I was having people just like come after me. And I'm like, So, I was talking to my significant other and I was like, babe, like I already use CBD, but it was like the roll-ons. Yeah. It was very minute. Uh-huh. So I didn't know a lot about it, but I knew that the creams and the balms were great. Yeah. And I knew it wasn't illegal. Right. Yeah. Right. So with that, I'm like, well, babe, like I know the product is good, but in this life that I'm trying to grow in, it's not acceptable yet. And it wasn't. Mm-hmm. It was not acceptable to have CBD or exposed because it was weed, even though we know now it's not weed. Right. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
No THC.
THC.
Yeah.
So there was a company that I was going to meet with who was offering a significant amount of money. Mm-hmm. And it was this point where I was, I just got third at Austin. I was building my name. I was doing good. I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is something that could be good, but I just have to make sure that they know no THC. I walked into the room. There's 10 men, and I'm the only woman. That was something that was first thing, which most business aspects are men. I had to be okay with that. Yeah. But it was so weird for me because the aura was off. Mm-hmm. When I walk in, not saying this company's name, they have other women up on the screens. Mm-hmm. They're going through different things, and they're straight in bikinis, and they're looking like Instagram models and other things, if you will. Mm-hmm. First thing I thought is, this isn't you. Never have you looked on my Instagram and I'm an Instagram model in a bikini like that's just not who I am. Right. And I wasn't going to evolve into that, and the dollar amount wasn't going to change who I was. And I struggled that year financially, but I stuck to who I was, and then the next year I did great. But it's just one of those combinations that sticking to your guns to your detriment or to your benefit is so important. And I don't think people are willing to see what am I okay with? Yeah. And knowing that stuff up front before the question is asked. Yes. Because that's huge. A really hard thing. And I've told my kids that in a lot of situations, even not money or security related, but just, what are you going to do when they ask you, at this party or that? Like, you have to know your answer before the question is asked. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, the big thing about people and relationships with your body, that's a whole other caliber. Yeah. Because these are people in passing. These are people you allow in your nervous system. Mm-hmm. These are people who are allowed to alter your feelings based off of their day, based off of their life, based off of anything that could harm or help. You are invested. And when you allow too many people, or if you allow the wrong person, now it's not for me to tell you who the wrong person is, but if there's a point where you doubt yourself, if there's a point where you feel like you're giving this person way more than you're giving yourself, if there's a point where you're diminishing your light for them to feel their light, these are all red flags.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see for a while.
Yeah.
But if you are constantly exhausted and you're constantly wondering why,
Yeah.
these are things that your body is naturally telling you.
Yeah.
And if you feel these things, it is the inward, looking inward, what's going on. Okay, you got to get to the root of the problem. And if the root of the problem is the person, the hardest part is to tell someone you love, you're hurting me, but I love you. If we can't get to a point where I can flourish, I can't be around you anymore. Those are the hardest conversations, which I've had to do too many times.
Yep.
Because you love them. And love is a very interesting word for me. Because the way I love and the way other people love, I know are completely different. When I love, you are my family for life. I am invested in your soul. When someone hurts you, they hurt me. People don't love like that. People use it as a Gucci purse that they bought and it's materialistic that hangs in the closet and they look at it, oh, I love you. No, that's not my love. So love for me is I am going to constantly make you better. I'm constantly going to hold you accountable. I'm constantly going to make sure I send you things when I know you're going through something that will uplift or make you look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Either or.
Yeah.
But everything I'm doing is out of love. When I move a certain way based off someone that I love, I am there for you. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what opportunities come your way. I don't care of any of those things other than for me to clap my hands and say, you did it, baby. Yeah. That's my job.
Yeah.
That's how I love.
Yep.
And I know people don't love like that.
Yep.
So when nervous system starts to teach you something, and I know I love this way, anyone who is probably my friend right now will say, oh, Falyn was rough on me at the beginning of our friendship. Like I'm very cold.
Yeah.
I will allow, and not cold in the sense of like, I'm a cold person, but I don't let you in.
Yeah.
And honestly, you have to work for my trust. I want to work for yours. If it's easy, then you have so many friends. Like, why do you need me?
Yeah. So true.
I don't have time for you, but I'll make time if I love you.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And your nervous system is something that we go through. I've gone through so many things and you've gone through so many things, and we talk about gut health.
Yep.
Gut health is your nervous system.
Amen.
And I have gone through figuring out what gut health really means, because your gut is your second brain. Mm-hmm. If your gut is congested of the BS,
right,
then your brain is going to be foggy.
Yeah. And
it always shows up. Always shows up.
But if you aren't self-aware enough and aren't willing to look inward, you won't know it.
No, you're just going to think that it's crashing down on you.
Yeah.
When you have full control.
Yeah.
You have full control of your emotions. You have full control over who is around you. There's a few scenarios in life that you don't have control over.
Right.
Which is understandable.
Yeah. And that's why recognizing these patterns, I mean, like, you're so much younger than me, and the way that we can teach younger people to start recognizing these patterns younger, because we do often, if you're not aware of it, you're going to pattern repeat.
Exactly.
And it's, how long does it take us to evolve?
The biggest thing that people don't realize is if you've gone through anything traumatic, your trauma stores in your body.
Mm-hmm. The body keeps a
score.
The
body keeps a score. It keeps a tally.
Yeah.
And if you continue to go through traumatic things and internalize, your body will never be its top potential if you store it. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Right. Now all the way down.
And I am a person who has worked through anger. I have worked through sadness. I play with those, but I never got to a potential of my body the way I want to, where I'm working towards right now, because I had a lot of trauma. Mm-hmm. And God was like, this is my strongest warrior. I'm going to give it to you.
know.
You're going to keep building, but I internalized. And then once I start to realize I got to heal, I got to get these things off me, I started to see so many things come my way that never would have come my way if I didn't start looking and to get it out and to build and to heal and to get these people out of my life.
Yeah.
Or love them from a distance.
Yep.
That's hard.
Amen. It is hard. It is hard. And oftentimes that's the thing that comes to me. Love them more.
Yeah.
However, how close you do that,
Yes.
very important.
Yes. You can love someone so much and not be able to talk to them every day, see them every day, but your love goes nowhere.
Yeah. Because that's the person you are.
That's the person I am. That's how I love.
Yeah.
I know there's certain things about this person that trigger me and certain things that they do bothers me.
Yeah.
But my love has not gone anywhere. You are still significant in my life, but I have to keep my sanity and my peace in order to keep flourishing.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
It is. It is. But it's an amazing lesson. And you are just incredible at embodying that and putting it out there in the world. That it's this honesty, this is how people heal. So my hat's off to you. I live for these conversations. And you just mentioned like where you're headed. So what's next as far as you taking care of your body and being this amazing athlete that you are?
You know, I lost my mom a month ago.
I'm so sorry.
I'm not going to cry.
It's okay.
So
Foundational.
the biggest thing for me is to grieve. Because the way I love my son and the way she loved me, and I have to grieve. That's something that's super important for me. But my mom was so strong, and I know what she would want. I know she would want me to play. I know she would want me to be my best self. And I know she would want me to not stay in grief. Because I've had plenty of examples in my family and in life of people who stay in grief. Yeah. And it's a dangerous place. Mm-hmm. It's a dangerous place. So right now, my future looks very different than I've ever been in my entire life. But I have to get back to taking care of myself. Yeah. Internally, then physically, then spiritually, then I give to others right now. This is my selfish era.
Yeah.
And I haven't been here in a while. Mm-hmm. And it's hard because I notice that the people that usually depend on me for a lot of strength and for a lot of other things that I give them, I'm not here. Yeah. And I have to be okay telling them or just saying today is not the day or I feel like shit.
Yeah.
And I've had such a great support system.
I'm happy to hear that.
I have such a great support system. Yeah. Because if I didn't, I would feel really alone. Yeah. I've had to figure out who my real friends are and who isn't. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, it could be so big of you just checking on me every once in a while, you checking on me once a week, or you're not checking in on me at all.
Yeah.
And that there is no other life altering thing that could have happened in my life than this for me to realize this. Yeah. And it makes you so grateful. Like I am incredibly grateful for my significant other because he has kept me whole through my mom's sickness and through this. And this post-death is worse than the sickness. Yeah. And finding someone for your nervous system to relax is the best gift of life.
You're absolutely right.
The best gift of life. This is the best thing that God has given me. Is someone that can hold you down when you hold others down your entire life and say, breathe one day at a time. You're on no one else's time. That is a gift. Because if it was me by myself, it's frantic. It's crazy. I
identify with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's normal. It's human.
Yeah.
It's human.
It's survival.
It's survival. And living in that is not normal. No. It's not normal. It's normal, but it's not.
And I'm smiling because I have felt that to my core on both sides.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely true. And truthfully, if there's one thing I have learned through doing this podcast, it's that nobody achieves success, however you define that, alone.
Mm-mm.
If you are alone, if there is not someone to hold that space with you, burnout is imminent.
Yeah.
That is, I have no question in my mind. And that's where these bonds that we have to try to forge, we have to be brave enough to forge.
Yep.
And then really trust our gut and use our intuition to make sure they're right. And I'm so happy to hear that you have that, because it really is foundational. It's everything.
People don't know my story very much, but my life has not been easy in any sense of the term.
Yeah.
But I will say this, every single time I have had trials, tribulations, or earth-shattering things, I'm always blessed after. There's always a breakthrough.
Yeah.
There's always an amazing story with the sadness. It's just getting through the hell to get there.
Yeah.
So I'm very hopeful of the next year of figuring out my grief and figuring out life without her.
Yeah.
But the crazy part about death is they're not gone.
No.
And I learned that.
Yeah.
I talk to her every day. And learning how to play volleyball without her is going to be rough.
Yeah.
Because that was my number one fan.
Yeah. But what a legacy.
Yes.
And you get to continue that.
And she gets the best seat in the house.
Amen.
She doesn't have to worry about umbrellas popping up in front of her face. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have to worry about coming early to set up her spot, because she's going to be there through the entire warm-up. She's going to be there through the entire match, and she's going to feel what I feel.
Yeah.
And I believe that, and I know that because I feel her every day. She probably visits my son 10 times more than me, and I'm okay with that. Totally. Protect your baby.
Yes.
But I feel her every day.
Yeah. And that's the gift, too, of being the way you describe the way you feel, being that empathic, energetic person. You're going to feel that.
I don't feel like it's going to go away.
Yeah.
I feel like she's going to stay around and make sure she's there for the most important parts of my life and my children.
Yeah.
And my family. The things that we'll build, she will be a part of.
Yeah. That's what's so amazing about a matriarch. And I've been obsessed with that concept for a long time because I've watched it my whole life. And it's an incredible position to get to hold and to pass down. And I know that she did that for you.
I know she did.
Yeah.
In all of her interesting teachings and glory.
Yeah.
She gave it to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think there's a better place to end such an awesome conversation. We could do this for hours, but that mother-daughter bond, mother-child bond is something that I know there's nothing that replaces, or there's nothing better. I mean, that significant other that holds your nervous system, but that parent-child is such an honor. And I know you felt that with your mom, and you have that with your son, and it's an amazing gift.
Learning unconditional love is a gift and a curse.
Yeah.
because it's who you give it to. But your kids come from you. They have your blood. They have things that you didn't even think you taught them or they saw you do. It's in their DNA. Yeah. Things that, you take for granted. Yeah. And the biggest thing is to enjoy each and every day. Yep. Make sure you make those phone calls. Make sure you see them on that holiday. Yeah. Because at any instant, it could be gone.
Yeah. Slow down. Keep it simple. Mm-hmm. Be present. All those things it's a gift. And you're showing people how to do that. And I love that, thank you for doing these conversations. And where can people find you if they want to follow along for amazing social media inspiration?
On Instagram, it's at Falyn Fonoimoana. Think of the movie Moana and it'll help you find it.
There you go. Okay, awesome. Well, again, thank you. Thank you. I look forward to just continuing our friendship. And I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on What I Meant to Say, another production of Inspired Edutainment brought to you by Be Better Media.